All these specific words, these are triggers that make the consumer, the prospect that you're talking to, think of their last experience in refinancing. And it could very well have been a very negative experience. So they dealt with a loan officer who didn't know what they were doing. And so therefore they had a bad experience. They had to go back and forth with documents and constantly send, documents and nothing stayed the same. So at the very end, they didn't experience a positive transaction, in other words. And so if you trigger that emotion, then they label you exactly as them, even though you're not that person, right? So you have to be very mindful of that. Instead, if you were really strategic about it, you would plan your wordplay, meaning that every single time that we encounter a prospect, whether it's an inbound or outbound, we're always going to come across pretty much the same objections, right? Most particular right now in this market, the objection is what? Okay, well, what's your rate or what's your fees? And so we can't position ourselves to where they are given the opportunity to even bring that question up. And you might be like,
well, Daniel, how do I do that? Everyone's worried about points and fees and what the rate is, and everyone knows that the rates are up. How do I do that?
Well, it's as simple as just being creative enough to where you act as if it's already in motion. And so if in the event I were outbounding, doing outbound calls to a particular audience that I know who needs this specific help, that's where I switch up my wordplay. And so let's say if I was calling the same exact lead, I'd be like, hey, Mr. Jones, just want to give you a quick introduction. My name is Daniel. I just want to let you know I've actually been assigned to make sure I send out some important information. It's actually going to come your way in the mail. And I just want to let you know it's with regards to your property on Memory Lane. Anyhow, it has to do with regards to a campaign that we have specific to the Irvine area or whatever city they're in, right? And your property on Memory Lane is within this area that this campaign is active. And so I want to make an introduction so when you get it, if you have any questions, you know who to call. Hey, actually, Mr. Jones, while I got you on the phone, let me actually confirm so that way when I send this information, it's actually worth your time. See, I didn't give them the opportunity to ask me what the rate is. If anything, my wordplay was built more about curiosity, right? So number one, Mr. Jones heard that I know their address, I know their city, and I said a campaign. So now Mr. Jones is more like, okay, you're sending it to me. What does this have to do? What is this about? Which then gives me control of the conversation, which then I can carry on the call.